Hey everybody, it's Dr. Fletcher at Utalogic. This video is a follow-on to a previous one I titled You Want a Test Sent Where? And that was part one. We talked a little bit about a possible solution for helping to minimize some tests being sent out to miscellaneous reference tests on the inpatient side. This is part two. Let's talk for a moment about the outpatient side. I'll start by saying I don't have the perfect solution for this. This is a tough problem. I know most of us are having this struggle. You know, on the inpatient side, it's a little bit easier to corral these things because you've got the medical staff, and hopefully you've got a CMO who's supportive, and so that might be a little bit easier to tackle. But the outpatient side, especially for those of you who have a large outreach, you've got physicians who are outreach clients sending you tests that, if you refuse to send them, or if you give them pushback, they could take their business elsewhere. I mean, we get that. The other problem is a lot of times these physicians have got laboratory vendors showing up and promising them and showing them reports which are pretty, and oh, don't worry, it won't cost your patient a thing. It's covered by insurance. And in some of these cases, instead of sending a test, they're sending the patient to your laboratory to be collected. So, what do you do with all of these patients or tests that are just showing up? You end up collecting these tests, you send them out as miscellaneous. Of course, insurance a lot of times doesn't pay. So, you get stuck with a really large bill, or the patient gets stuck with a bill, leading to unhappy patients. And a lot of times it all comes back on the laboratory because it's the laboratory's fault. As I said, I don't have a perfect solution for you. One thing I have seen that you can use as a tool is around your accreditation and regulatory requirements. I'm just going to share one slide with you. And specifically, this is going to apply to those of you who are CAP accredited, which is obviously a large number of labs. One of the tools I've used to help address this is basically falling back upon our CAP accreditation. Most of you are probably familiar with CAP accreditation. Every 2 years, you get this big inspection, and you have to go through all these different checklists. The laboratory general checklist is also the biggest checklist in an accreditation inspection. But specifically, there is a requirement in laboratory general talking about reference laboratory selection. And specifically, your laboratory, has to have a defined process for the selection and evaluation of laboratories to which it refers specimens or materials for testing. This is a good one to fall back on because it can help you push back on sending out some of this testing. Specifically, this requirement is looking at things: did the laboratory director, in consultation with the medical staff, decide to use this reference laboratory? What is the quality of the reference laboratory? Does it meet the requirements of the laboratory? You can't just send them out to any old laboratory. Is the referral laboratory, is it accredited? Do they have their CLIA certificate? All these things have to be vetted per CAP before you can just send things out. This is not going to be the solution. Again, I wish I had more advice for you. This is a tough area, but sometimes it helps, if you're getting a lot of these tests, to take this to your administration and say, hey, we're having this problem. And it's a problem, obviously, from a cost perspective, but also because um, it's starting to run afoul of our possible accreditation requirements. It's not going to solve your problem, but it might help give you some ammunition to get some support from administration to help dealing with this. This is a tough problem. As I said, I don't really have a whole lot of other good recommendations for you. I'd love to get your feedback on this one. Have you used CAP regulations or accreditation requirements to help address this? What things have you tried and what has been beneficial? I have seen some hospitals who had very strong leadership put their foot down and said, no more sales vendors in our offices. And no, we're not going to start sending these out. But again, it's really dependent upon the appetite of your leadership to support you. Again, I'd love to hear your comments and thoughts. This is a tough subject. Send me a post or a comment or an email. Love to get your feedback. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.